Welcome to Module 10. Today we are focusing on managing stakeholder expectations. Think of stakeholders as the ecosystem surrounding your project or business. It is essential to understand them because stakeholders include anyone from employees and shareholders to customers and community groups, and they all have varying interests that can significantly influence your organization's strategy and success. We're going to cover how to identify these groups, analyze their power and influence, and use tools like the Power Interest Grid to prioritize them. Finally, we will look at how to ethically engage with them to not just meet, but exceed their expectations. Before we start mapping them out, we need to distinguish between the different types of stakeholders. Broadly, we have internal stakeholders, such as employees, managers, and board members who are integral to operations. Then we have external stakeholders, like customers, suppliers, and regulatory bodies who interact with the organization from the outside. Beyond proximity, we also look at their level of activity. Active stakeholders like shareholders can directly influence policy through voting. Passive stakeholders, such as local communities, might not have direct votes but can heavily affect public perception and reputation. We also categorize them as primary, those directly linked to your success, and secondary, who have a less immediate but still significant influence. So, how do we prioritize them? We analyze their dynamics, specifically focusing on power and interest. Stakeholders vary in how much power they hold and how interested they are in your project. For instance, a regulatory body might have high power and high interest, requiring close management, while a local community group might have low power but high interest. To visualize this, we use stakeholder mapping techniques, such as the Power Interest Grid. This tool allows us to categorize stakeholders based on their influence, urgency, and legitimacy, helping us decide who needs to be engaged and managed actively versus who simply needs to be monitored. This categorization is critical for developing strategies that address various perspectives effectively. Once we know who our stakeholders are, we need to engage them. This is where ethical engagement comes in. Ethical engagement isn't just about strategy, it involves transparency, honesty, and mutual respect. By communicating openly, you foster trust, which lays the foundation for strong long-term relationships. A great example of this is Patagonia, whose transparent supply chain practices demonstrate ethical engagement with both consumers and environmental groups. However, managing stakeholders often means navigating a complex web of competing interests. You will often face situations where stakeholder interests diverge from organizational goals. To handle this, we need strategic alignment, aligning these diverse interests with your long-term objectives. When conflicts inevitably arise, we rely on mitigation strategies like open dialogue and compromise. Open dialogue fosters transparency and ensures every voice is heard, while compromise helps find a middle path where everyone's needs are reasonably satisfied. Finally, let's discuss the management approach: proactive versus reactive. Proactive management is about foresight, taking steps to anticipate and resolve issues before they become problems. Reactive management, on the other hand, deals with issues promptly as they emerge. The best approach often involves continuous monitoring, where you regularly review feedback and market signals to adapt your strategy as stakeholder needs evolve. To wrap up Module 10, remember that effective stakeholder management goes beyond just addressing concerns. The goal is to exceed expectations. By maintaining open communication and delivering consistent value, much like how Apple innovates to delight users or Amazon expands services to enhance satisfaction, you can build enduring trust and support. Stakeholder interests are never static. They evolve over time. Therefore, regular check-ins and flexible adjustments are necessary to keep your project aligned with the people who matter most. Mastering these dynamics turns potential friction points into opportunities for collaboration and success.